Morning, this is August 25th at 9 a.m. It's pretty chilly out here, about 52 degrees. Thought I'd give you a brief rundown on my hydroponic tomatoes. You're now viewing a large brandywine that is starting to get ripe. This is a Dutch bucket brandywine. There's about 15 tomatoes set on this plant. It's a very healthy plant. It's reaching skyward. Next to the brandywine was supposed to be a tiny Tim. Well, it's some kind of cherry tomato, but I doubt it's a tiny Tim. Here you see some sun-glow cherries. I have a good crop of sun-glow cherries this year. This is the first year I've ever had them. I'm very impressed. They're a heavy yielding cherry tomato. Very sweet, even sweeter than the red cherries. Here you're looking at my first clone of the year. My first clone, which I believe is a big beef. Initially I thought this was a cherry tomato, but due to the size, I'm almost sure it's a big beef now. Here is a red cherry tomato. And here is another big beef clone. Big beef has been my best tomato of the year, at least for taste. Yeah. The flavor is probably the best I've ever experienced on any tomato. I think the brandywines are a close second, but I will have to settle for the big beef for flavor. Here you're viewing a real nice and ripe big boy tomato. I have picked about 14 big boys off this one plant. I have about 2 more that's ready to pick right now. If you look real close, the next plant over is a super steak. There's 2 large super steaks about softball size, and one is just starting to get ripe. This is another heavy yielding tomato, and they're big tomatoes. You can see some green ones right here. They're quite large, and they're still growing. And here is a ripe big beef. It needs to be picked. My mouth is watering right now. Here it is. And just above it is 2 nice green big beefs. I have picked about 10 or 12 off of this one plant, and there's several more that's set on. Here is another view of my brandywine. This is a good sized tomato, about 5 inches across. It'll probably be ready to pick in about another day. Here you're viewing the same plants as they're reaching skyward. They're way above the top of my porch now, which is, well, take the height of the bucket off. They're 6.5, 7 feet. Here's another view of my super cucumber. This thing is done much better than I expected. Here's the Dutch bucket cucumber. This is a Boston pickler. I've already picked 12 good-sized cucumbers off of this plant, and there's about 20 more set on. I have had a little brief bout of powdery mildew, but I got it early with some fungicide, and it seems to have cleared right up. For late August, this is about the extent of cucumbers for me, but this plant is still producing, so I can assure you that next year I will have several Dutch bucket cucumbers. Here we're looking at the Kentucky Wonder pole beans. I have 3 of them set in this Dutch bucket, and they've already grown to the top of the string. That means the plants are about 5 foot tall now, and they're still growing. No blossom on them yet, but I could assure you in another week or 2 blossoms will form. I expect to be picking pole beans by late September, early October. Here we have my bell peppers. They're doing great. They're still growing and still setting fruit. If you look at this one, you can see that the stem on this bell pepper is every bit as big as my index finger. In the past, I've had deep water culture bell peppers, and they did about the same as dirt bell peppers, but these Dutch bucket bell peppers are the best that I've ever had. Here we're looking at my clones. I set these out about 5 weeks ago. Right in the corner is a 3-foot cherry tomato that's doing great, and next to it is a big beef that's about 2.5 feet tall, and over here to the left is 2 more big beef. They are about 18 inches tall. These were all clones that were set in a bucket just about 5 weeks ago. Here we have a hillbilly tomato. As you can see, there's the tomato, and it actually, when I had transplanted this tomato, the tomato was already set on, so the plant did not grow much. Well, this tomato is growing quite a bit, and it's about 3 inches now, and the plant is, in the last 2 weeks, it's doubled in size. It's a good 3 foot tall, so weather permitting, I think I'm going to have a good crop of hillbillies off of this one tomato. Here is another hillbilly. This is a dirt bucket with Miracle-Gro. It's doing all right. Tomato is healthy. The plant doesn't look real healthy in comparison to the Dutch bucket, but I guess that's to be expected. And last but not least, my only 2 tomatoes that I have planted in the ground. They're actually in a flower bed. They call these sausage tomatoes. They're actually Polish tomatoes. I'm going to have a good crop this year, even though there's only 2 plants in the ground. They're both loaded. In all fairness, they might be dirt tomatoes, but they have got all the solution change outs from my deep water culture, so they've got plenty of nitrogen and other goodies in the soil. That's all for today, folks.